Guys, how's it going? And welcome to our review and flight review of the LiteHawk XL 3-channel RC helicopter. Now when I'm talking RC, I'm talking radio controlled. Remote control is a little different. Different types of remote controls with wires and infrared. So this is an actual radio control unit. So this particular helicopter is designed to fly either indoors or outdoors, okay, which is awesome. It's about 1 foot long overall length, okay. Total height to the top of the balance bar, that's about 6 inches, okay. So let's talk about the remote first, or the radio. Now, when you first turn the power on the radio, when you put fresh batteries in, you're going to see that this light flashes. And this throws off a lot of guys, because they'll go up like this and, you know, nothing's happening, it's not talking to the helicopter, and so they think there's something wrong when there isn't. What you have to do, guys, is go all the way to the top, and I mean all the way to the top, then to the bottom. That sinks that in or calibrates it in. Next thing you want to do is plug your battery into your helicopter. Now I want to show you something. I want you to look, because you're going to see a little tiny red light inside. Hopefully you'll be able to see it anyways. Actually, what I'll do is I'll bring it right up to the camera so that you can. And that's your indication, or little sync jobby light that's going to tell you that it's ready to go and that it's communicating. See that little flashing light that's really rapid? It'll all of a sudden stop, which it actually has now. Okay, that means that your gyro is synced up and everything's ready to go, and you're free to communicate from the transmitter to the helicopter and fly. Now these flashing lights are really awesome, and I like the clear hood design because you can see the circuit board inside, and that is just awesome. I love that. I wish all my helicopters were that way. Okay, so now that we can communicate, we can fly. Now this is your on and off switch. To recharge this thing, you have to pull the connector out. Now this is a JST connector. It also only goes in one way. You'll discover that by looking inside. Their cutout is a B shape. This cutout is a B shape. Line the B's together and voila, you're in. Okay? And you only grab it by the connector itself to pull it out. Don't ever grab by the wires, because you can break them. Your charger goes direct to your battery on this helicopter. So if you've accidentally left your power switch on, don't worry about it. You won't hurt anything in this case. So, because you're direct on to the charger. Now, helicopters that don't have this feature, where you can go direct to the battery for charging purposes, those you better make sure are turned off, because otherwise you can fry the PCB board or the battery or both. Okay, it can happen. Now, the landing gear is comprised of plastic and metal for the actual skis, but the main struts are all plastic. So they'll take a lot of flax, a lot of beatings, a lot of hard landings. The rubber feet help cushion your landings, okay? But at the same time helps to stop a lot of that pre-takeoff spin that can happen. So this way you can adjust your spin even up in the air. But if your spin is way out of control, I mean, it is going to make it spin eventually, right? So you want to try and eliminate as much spin before takeoff. You've got brushed motors on this. Okay, they are not brushless, they are brushed. Okay, so eventually they will wear out, they will fry, but you can get replacement ones. Okay, if you bend your struts, you bend your tail boom, no matter what you break on this helicopter, you can get the replacement parts from LiteHawk, and they're cheap. All their parts are really cheap for all their RC toys. Okay, so they're very reasonable is what I'm saying. And I consider any RC toy, whether it's a helicopter, a boat, or an airplane, doesn't matter, car, if you can get parts to repair it with, that's hobby grade as far as I'm concerned, regardless what anybody else tells you. Because some guys I find have they've developed this attitude that because they're flying a 6 or 16 channel RC machine, they think that's a serious machine and it's a hobby level toy, and they think that these are just nothing more than little kiddie toys, and that's not true. Okay, even the smaller ones like this Skyline GT Mini aka the SEMA S107 is another name for it that you've come across, because it looks exactly the same, and it actually is. I compared them. These are still, in my opinion, hobby grade, providing you can get all the parts. If you can get every single part, to me that's a hobby grade toy, and it's beginner hobby grade. Even if all you can get is gears and blades, it's still something you've got to be able to dismantle, repair, and put back together. Okay? To me, something that would be considered to be a toy is something that is 100% guaranteed not fixable, period, by any means. Not even a compatible part from another machine. Now, I have been finding that Protocol makes some helicopters that are compatible for parts with Oddly RC toys, and a few others, including the LiteHawk versus the Skyline toys. I found some compatible parts back and forth on some of them. So, because Skyline doesn't exactly support a lot of parts. I mean, they have a parts kit which consists of blades, gears, balance bar, some basics, right? Now you can get a battery, okay? They're starting, they're building, okay? But I can get the exact same parts from another company right now, okay? So, not a big issue, all right? And I look at price too. If I can get the exact same part, because a lot of these things are clones of each other, and I mean direct clones, okay? Like the SEMA SO31, 31G, Cobra, same number system, Estes, WE 2012, they're all the exact same helicopter. Every single part, exact, okay? And so I shop around for parts to see who's got the cheaper parts for the same machine. So, and that's where I shop for the parts. Now, LiteHawk, I haven't found anything other than LiteHawk, okay? And LiteHawk supplies all their parts for their machines. Wonderful. The service is actually pretty quick too. It didn't take that long in the mail to get parts from them, which, you know, was fine. Very easy to deal with their website for ordering stuff, you know, and, now the quality of this thing, let's get to the quality here. It is very durable. There's a lot of metal here, so it's built pretty tough, you know, and there's some plastic, and the plastic is built pretty tough, okay? I've not crashed this thing yet, okay? In fact, I've only flown it twice now because I just got this thing a few days back. So I haven't had a lot of flight time on this one yet, but I mean, I've got a lot of flight experience behind me, so it's not like I'm gonna, you know, crash into the window or anything when we do the review. I kind of know what I'm doing nowadays for flying these things, so it's only the odd incident I get now. But when you're talking built quality good, you'll notice here there's some screw holes here. That reinforces this whole frontal section of the canopy for taking hits, which also prevents a lot of damaging from happening to your hooks up in here, which are actually screws in this case. So this is actually a fairly thick canopy, plastic-wise. You know, it's flexible, so it's going to take some hits, you know, which is good. But the fact that they've reinforced it with screws here and then screws here instead of this clip stuff, the fact that even this part is here is a big benefit, because when you take a hit here, all the shock is going to absorb here. So by the time that flex and shock gets up into this area, you are not going to damage the pins up in here. Because I've snapped a lot of pins on other helicopters up in this area because I've had no support down here. So having the support here and here is awesome, okay? So that makes for a very good canopy build, okay? It makes it good for supports for the mounts of the canopy, being able to take a lot of punishment too, because even at this end helps protect this end, okay? You got to understand the physics behind it, the math behind it, to really know what I'm talking about, but just trust me on it. That's how it works, and it works really well. So very well thought out there. Now, as far as the rest of it goes, it's very good. This is metal here, so if you do bend it, you can straighten it out. You can actually unscrew it, pound it flat with a hammer again, and put her back on. You know, don't pound it, but tap it. So if you bend it, not a big deal. Same as this, if you bend this one, not a big deal. You would have thought they would have gone with plastic here, but I'm thinking because of the way the weight ratios worked on this thing, how it worked out, the metal was actually probably the better choice, and I think it probably was, because plastic would have been too light. So it may have actually made it, you know, just the center of gravity wouldn't have been so perfect. So it's actually really good. Very nice motor system back in here, very well done. A lot of support here, clamped on very nicely. Everything sits really parallel, which is very nice. So I've done a very excellent job keeping everything into spec. What more can I tell you guys? Awesome little heli. So let's take it for a little flight, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, and then that'll be the end. So we'll be right back with our flight review. Hey guys, welcome to the flight review section of this review for the LiteHawk XL. And I've already got everything turned on and ready to rock, so let's get this bird up in the air here. So this is just letting it hover. That's full forward. Backward. And this is where I talked about going in between or around the clock type of deal. And as you get more and more used to the controls, you can make these a lot wider type of turns and so on. And as you can see, those feet help with the landing too. Cushions it. Now the one characteristic I find a little strange about this one is when I'm taking off, you'll notice that my tail will start to drag back a bit, so I have to push forward and just get the rotor going. But once it's up there, I can let it stop and it's fine. I haven't quite figured out why that is. So if you have problems on takeoff, where you can't take off just going straight with throttle only, that's probably what it's going to need, is to be able to just push a little bit on that tail rotor forward, and it'll make for a much smoother takeoff. Doing a reverse circle here. And of course you can just pull it full left or full right. And you can go backwards, same way, same sort of thing. You can either make narrow circles or larger circles. Now what I do find with flying characteristics of this thing, in comparison to my U6 by Skyline, this thing seems a little bit more heavier in the air, we'll say. Like physical weight between the two of them, they seem to be pretty close to each other. I actually have to put them on a scale to see for sure. But this one does feel a little bit heavier to fly. You'll notice that the more you get used to flying helicopters, how they actually, it seems to be heavier to fly just by the way you have to control things, and or if it feels lighter, type of thing too. So, but I mean, overall, we're talking about a really good helicopter here. Controls very nicely, hovers nice. Like I said, I like that windshield in the front where the light flashes. And it looks really cool at night flashing. What I'll do when we go back into the room is I'll blacken out my room as best I can and show you what it's like with just the lights sitting there running at night, so you'll get an idea. But That's our bit of a flight review on it. So she flies really nice. You know, takeoff and landings are pretty good. So there's your basics. She's pretty good. I mean, my living room is only about, I don't know, probably about 16 or 18 feet long and about maybe 12 feet wide, 14 feet, somewhere around there. I actually have to measure it out, but it's not a massively huge living room, but I can fly around her pretty good. So anyways, we'll stop here and then we'll come back for one little quick segment of showing what this thing lights up like in the dark, and then finish off our review. So we'll be right back. Okay guys, so this is our little spot here where it's in a totally darkened room. And just so you get an idea what you're actually going to see in total blackness, it looks pretty cool. Let me move the blade out of the way of the canopy there. So as you can see, the circuitry is nicely lit up in there. You can see it, and the whole canopy pretty much all flashes. So you get some good coloration going on there. This looks pretty awesome. Okay, so let's take this in and we'll finish off our review. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so we've done our main review. We've given you a bit of a flight review, showing you how she flies, showing you what it looks like total darkness, and so just to do a quick summary of this thing, we've got 3 channels, LiteHawk XL, 100% full part support, prices are cheap, flies really nice. Recharge time is good, 40 to 60 minutes. Flight time, 8 to 10 minutes. Single speed. It does actually fly really well. Indoors, awesome. Outdoors, we don't know for sure yet. Because like I said, it's winter time. I'm not flying this thing outdoors. And but otherwise, I'm sure it would do really well in 5 kilometers or less. Because my U6 that I have by Skyline, which is basically the same heli, I'll actually bring it down here. Now my U6 actually does have speed control, but I've tried it flying with even the low speeds. 5 kilometers an hour is like tops. The slower the wind, the better for outdoors. Full radio controlled. It's not remote by a wire. It's not remote by infrared. It is radio controlled. Okay. 6 AA batteries. Recommendation: Dynex, Energizer, Duracells. Duracells being the top. Good helicopter. Really well constructed. So, like I said, we're going to give this a 4 out of 5. It's a very, very nice machine. So, and that parts access is nice. And like I said, beginner hobby grade. And that's what I consider these things to be, is beginner hobby grade. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera up out of the way, and I'm going to show you a few other helicopters I've got sitting here on the shelf. This is only some of them. But we've got a LiteHawk Arrow as well, my U6. This is an Audley helicopter. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Skyline GT Mini, and of course an Audley 4-channel Sky Rover series. Pretty cool little machines. And of course, you're talking radio controlled, infrared, infrared. So infrared machines, you don't want to fly them outdoors, preferably not anyways. But good bang for your buck. The LiteHawk XL, at least at the source here in town, you're talking $70 regular price, usually $50 on sale. Well worth the money, so you choose. But I like the LiteHawk products myself, and many others. And so thanks for watching. If you got any questions, comments, feel free to leave them. You know the drill. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.